Something was talking in the corner of my living room. Written by I'm Here to Observe. First of all, this is true and not just a random story. I'm genuinely scared and I don't know what to do. I'm going to try to make this short because I just want to get this out there since I'm too scared to go back to my house tonight. So I'm currently renting an Airbnb. At least for tonight. So, a little backstory. I moved into this new house, and right across the street from my house is an abandoned manor. It's cliche, I know, but that's honestly what drew me to getting that house, since I've always been so intrigued by abandoned places, especially ones with an eerie story. For example, this manor was passed down from within the family for years until the last remaining family members who lived there, mysteriously, all disappeared at the same time in the 1900s. And ever since then, it's just been abandoned. I thought that was all pretty neat, at least at first. Things were fine and I was really enjoying my new place. And then, after a while, I was really curious about the abandoned manor. Something just made me feel like checking it out. So I managed to get inside, and within a second, the vibe just felt wrong. I can't put my finger on it, but something was off. I felt like I was being watched, so I ran back across the street to my house, while my heart was racing for no real reason. Now, I've never really believed in the supernatural stuff, so that was strange for me. But I think that's when things started taking a turn for me. Whenever I would walk home late at night, I would feel like someone was still watching me from the manor across the street. But maybe I'm just paranoid now. Soon after that, I would always hear sounds within my house late at night, while I was in my bedroom. It seemed to be specifically coming from the kitchen or the living room. I never really thought too much about it since I'd always hear these sounds right when I was on the brink of sleep. You know, when you're just about to fall asleep at any second and you hear stuff in the background, but it almost feels like it's a part of your dreams. Well, this was always like that, so I could never say for sure if I actually heard something or if it was just my dreams. But why would I dream of dishes being moved or someone walking around my house? So now let's fast forward to last night. I was sleeping in the living room since my bedroom can get quite hot during the summer. So I got my blankets and I slept on the floor. This is something that I've always loved to do, even as a kid. So I got everything ready and I turned off the TV and all the lights in the house. When I finally turned off the light in the living room, I got a very unsettling feeling. What was my solution to this feeling? To quickly hide under my blankets and watch funny videos until the feeling went away. Yes, I'm aware that that's pathetic. I instantly felt safe under the blankets, so I put my headphones in my ears. But I didn't plug them into my phone just yet because I usually do that once I find something to watch. So I completely forgot to plug them in because I started scrolling through Instagram looking at funny memes. It was all going so well until I heard the voice in the corner of the living room and I froze. I honestly couldn't move or do anything. I was too scared to make any movements. I heard something say,
"There's one thing you don't seem to understand."
And then another voice overlapping it saying the same sentence. But I couldn't catch the other words because the voices were overlapping each other. It would start with 1, then 2, and 3, and so on until I couldn't make any sense of it all anymore. The whole time that all of this was happening, my body was still in shock. I didn't know how to react. I can't even remember exactly what was going through my mind. But then, suddenly, all of the voices stopped at once. At that moment, I started gathering myself together, and I remember thinking, WTF? I also wanted to kick myself for not recording it. Just for my own sanity, of course. So, a few hours go by, and I'm still stuck in the same position. Just to be clear, you guys, my body was so uncomfortable that I just wanted to move my leg or something, but I was still too scared to do that. Right when I'm about to build up courage to do it, the voices start up again. With the same build-up from one voice to two voices to three at the same time, it went on and on and on.
There's one thing you don't seem to understand.
I was also able to catch one other thing that it said, and it was,
In this life and the next.
I wish that I was able to hear more, but it was so hard to understand with so many voices all at once. This time I wasn't going to mess up. I made sure to record it. Very slowly, I moved my fingers to the closest app that I could record on, and it was Snapchat. So I started recording a video, and once it played back, I'd be able to hear if the voices were actually there, or if I was going crazy. Now, once the video finishes recording, I forgot that it automatically plays back. Which is fine because I have my headphones in. Except, I forgot to plug my headphones in because I never ended up watching a movie. And now this video plays out loud. My heart stopped because whatever was in the corner of my living room now knows that I just recorded it. The moment it played back, I quickly plugged in the headphones and all of the voices stopped at once. All that I could think in my head was, they know, they know, they know. But at least I still have a recording and now I can confirm that I'm not crazy. But I think that just made it worse now that I know that something really is there. Now another hour goes by and I'm mortified. By the way, I still want to move my leg. It's been hours at this point. And it's gotten very hot under the blankets. Remember, it's the middle of summer and I'm sweating. But I'm not going to pop my head out from under the blankets for any reason because I don't want to see what's out there. Finally, things started to calm down again, and I'm going to watch something funny just to make it through to the morning. But before I can find anything, all of the voices start up again, and instead of building up, they are all going at once, and they are all yelling right next to my ear. Something was on the other side of the blanket, right next to my ear. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I started crying silently. Eventually, I fell asleep, and then I got up and I got out of there as soon as possible. Now, I don't know what to do, or what that could have been. I'll be staying at an Airbnb for tonight, but I'll have to go back tomorrow. Wish me luck. I Used to Live Alone, written by Ninja Toaster. The most important thing you should know about me is that I live alone. Most of my family is either dead or living on another continent. And the only close friend I've ever had has become someone I only contact once a year to wish a happy birthday on Facebook. So, when my girlfriend of 3 years and I broke up in March, I packed my bags and moved halfway across the country for a fresh start. Honestly, I couldn't be happier. I've always liked being alone, and having only myself to answer to is kind of freeing. When I'm not working, I can do whatever I want. Regardless of what you might think, everything was going just fine until a week ago. The other night, I woke up around 2 a.m. with a desperate need to pee. I made my way to the bathroom only half awake, not bothering to turn on the light. I tried to keep my eyes closed most of the time, so falling back to sleep would be easier. I'm not sure what made me realize that something was wrong. But as I sat there, squinting in the darkness, I became aware that something was watching me. I sat up a little straighter. My bathroom is small, barely fitting a bathtub, toilet, and sink in there. I could feel the side of the sink brush against my arm, and the shower curtain was only a few inches from my nose. There was nowhere for anyone to hide, not even a window for someone to peek through. But still, I felt eyes on me. Frozen, I tried to hold myself completely still as I listened for an intruder. It was in this silence that I heard it. So quiet as to be almost imperceptible. I could just make out the sound of someone else breathing. I could physically feel panic take over my body. Fear trickled down my limbs and seized my body tight. I thought that my heart would stop even as it pounded furiously in my chest. Someone was in my shower, hiding just behind the curtain. I was sure of it. The distance between the curtain and my face felt shorter than it ever had, and there I sat, motionless. I could hear the breathing getting louder. Well, not louder. I realized with dawning horror. The breathing was getting closer. Whoever was behind the curtain, they were crouching down to my eye level. Suddenly, the curtain bulged outwards, stretching towards my face slowly, patiently. The urge to run finally overcame my paralyzed body, and I stumbled off the toilet. I felt cold plastic graze my cheek. I didn't look back, but for the briefest moment, in the small mirror over the sink, I could see something moving behind the disturbed curtain, hidden in the darkness of the shower. I ran into my bedroom and I locked the door. I called the police as quickly as I could, forcing my shaking hands to cooperate. It felt like hours crouching behind my bed and waiting, even though I know it was only minutes. When they finally came, they couldn't find any sign of any intruder or forced entry. I filed a police report, but beyond that, there wasn't much that they could do without any evidence. If that had been the end of it, everything would be fine. I'd be a nervous wreck for a while, sure, but I could get over it and move on. I've always found comfort in being alone, and I was determined that I wouldn't let my nerves get the better of me again. The thing is, I'm never alone anymore. The next incident occurred the following day at my job. I work in IT for a small company. The pay isn't all that great, but I needed something quick after my impulsive move, and I haven't bothered to keep looking for anything else yet. The building is old, split into a more renovated office section and a musty warehouse with rooms for storage. I was making a trip to the break room in the older part of the building. I normally took my lunch a little earlier than the others in the office so that I could eat in peace, and because of that, I was the only person in the old section of the building. I made my way down the semi-dark hall, grabbed the door handle to the break room, and started to open it. I had already half-turned the knob, creaking with age, when something stopped me. I could feel someone watching me again. Slowly, I let the knob twist back into position and I took a step away from the door. The building was silent, and I could see that the light in the room was off under the bottom of the door. Unless someone was sitting in the dark alone to eat their lunch, none of my coworkers were in the break room. I felt dread settle into my stomach. As I stood there debating with myself, I began to hear a slow, steady breathing coming from behind the door. I backed away slowly. When I was a few steps further from the door, the fluorescent light above it cut out, throwing a small section of the hallway and the door into darkness. I heard a soft creaking, and as my eyes adjusted, I could see the doorknob begin to turn. I turned and I ran, hearing each fluorescent light above me turn off as I raced past it. I made my way back to my desk, Thankfully, I had left the door separating the two parts of the building cracked earlier. After that, it started to follow me wherever I go. I can't open doors. It waits for me in every dark room, behind every shower curtain, and every closet door. Yesterday, it waited for me in every dressing room in the mall. I try not to think about what I saw in the gap between the floor and the bottom of the door. I'm not comfortable in my apartment anymore. I wish I could stay at a hotel for a few nights, but I can't spare the extra cash. And at this point, it wouldn't do much good anyway. I don't have any friends or family to stay with. I tried sleeping in my car, but I can still feel it there, waiting in the shadows just below my windows, just barely out of sight. I can't take it anymore. As I lie in bed finishing this post, I can feel it watching me. The knob of my closet door is slowly turning left and right, gently rattling as it does. The door doesn't open, not even an inch. But I think I have to open the door. Wish me luck. Inhuman Monster, written by AtroposSaga. As soon as I entered my cabin, a putrid smell had hit my nose. I felt stomach acid rushing towards my throat, gagging at the smell. I swallowed it back down and went to escape. I covered my mouth and nose with the sleeve of my jacket. The source of the smell wasn't in sight, but in the room. I had to put my bag down by the door. I slowly made my way to the couch, my shoes making a clicking sound on the hardwood floor until I got onto my white carpet. The smell was getting worse, and as I finally made my way around the couch, I discovered the source of the smell. It wasn't a common pet or a person, no. It was a deer. Its head was missing, but that wasn't the worst part. Its stomach looked like it had been ripped open by something that looked like claws, and most of its intestines were missing along with flesh and meat from the ribs and other organs as well. I vomited a little, getting some on my sleeve and then, of course, on the floor. How had the deer gotten in here? I had no idea. There was no broken glass or anything signaling that someone had broken into the relatively small cabin. Some tears had escaped due to the burning sensation in my throat. Things were slightly blurry, but I'll try to explain it the best that I possibly can. I had run to my front door, grabbing my bag. Then I heard an inhuman scream from behind me. My limbs were moving, but I couldn't comprehend it. I unlocked my truck door, hopping into the black 2015 Ford with my bag in hand. I slammed the door shut and jabbed my keys into the ignition and then quickly turned them. Just as I did, I saw the figure. Its skin was a pale blue. The eyes were wide, but it looked like there were only pupils staring back at me. Its mouth was dislocated, and the body was contorted in an impossible pose. The mouth was bloody, and the claws were worse. It looked like if you had chopped off all the fingers from two human hands, and it was replaced by blood-rusted blades from kitchen knives. I managed to do a U-turn in my driveway as it started to run at the truck, still bellowing its inhuman scream. It managed to grab a hold of the side of the truck, luckily not on my side. I drove closer to the trees, the branches hitting the creature multiple times as it started to make its way into the window. I turned onto another road quickly, and the creature let go. I just drove into town from there, not knowing if it followed me or not. I finally pulled into a parking spot at the local park. I turned off the ignition, taking the keys out, and then I got out of the car. I went around the truck to see what the creature had done to my truck. What I saw confirmed my fear. There were 5 sharp claw marks above the tire well. The other 5 were rather close to the window. They were surprisingly clean cuts. I haven't been back home since. It's been a month, and now I have an apartment in town a few blocks from the park, and far enough away from my cabin. I still have nightmares about what happened. I'm not a fan of the city, but if it keeps me safe from whatever that thing was, I'll happily stay here.